me talk to you.
Welcome back, guys, to Dad and Son Wrestling Reviews. I'm Son, and that's Dad. And today we're going to be reviewing Dynamite.
First of all, give a shout out to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Through his sacrifice, all things are possible. If you don't know Jesus' word yet, we'll put a link in the description to our church family, The Rocks. We want to ask for a blessing from our Lord and Savior. Me and my wife are conducting our first ever youth ministry on behalf of the church tonight. It is a dark and stormy night, so we'll be addressing some of the stuff from the Bible about how Jesus will help you through stormy times. So we hope that the kids tonight get a hold of that message and know that they are loved daughters and sons of the Lord and Savior, our risen King, Jesus, and that gives them the strength to weather all the storms in their life. As we know, everyone that's been a teenager, it is one of the most difficult times of your life as you battle through becoming the person that you want to be, the person that you are, and the person that the world wants you to be, and pushing back on that and becoming the person that Jesus has set out for you to be, and be loved by him and know that he has your back. Also, shout out to Chorus BJJ, Luke, Brent, Elise, Emma, Nikki, the crew down there. Thank you.
FOC.
Yeah, FOC experience. I will link that one again. We did that in our last review. Couple of good blokes just talking about their jiu-jitsu journeys. Can't understate enough how, if you're a first responder or just a bloke in general, getting around other blokes and discussing things and talking, it's a lot easier to do with other blokes than it is sometimes to do with others. And it can be safe and invigorating, and stops you from having those dark thoughts and stuff sometimes. So get around it. Jiu-jitsu is a great place to do that. Sometimes it's too hard to have negative thoughts when you're absolutely exhausted and another man's trying to choke you out. So sometimes that can help. It certainly helps me. So shout out to all the crew down there. Ross as well, who's the new professor down there taking classes as well. Welcome to the team, and we really appreciate you down there as well. And also out to Rockingham Sharks in the under-10s Bull Sharks team. Did some great training this week, really starting to develop their skills, some hard tackling. You got a rude shock about how hard tackling can be sometimes, haven't you? A few bruises on your legs. So he's enjoying that process as well. So on to the review. If you want to get started, big boy, let's go.
First, it started with Swerve Strickland versus Kenny Omega. Next match. Crazy. And we finally get Kenny Omega versus MJF at Dynasty.
Yeah. So the winner of that match, spoiler alert, was Kenny Omega, kicked out of multiple finishes by Swerve, Vertebreaker. That looked awful. Oh, I hate that move. It looks so awful. I know they're professionals, but still, I cringe. They had pile driver on the LED as well. The crowd was nuts for this match. They'll chant for both blokes, even though Swerve's a heel. And then One-Winged Angel by Kenny for the win.
It's going to get the foot on the rope.
Yeah. So he got the win clean. Nana really pulled the one stunt, and that was very early in the match to give Swerve the advantage. I thought Nana would be more involved in this one, but just the one spot where he grabbed the leg. I thought he'd be more involved in the finish, but not on this occasion. So maybe they're saving it because they're one each now. So that's maybe Swerve costs MJF, not MJF, but Kenny in some capacity, and maybe we have them again all in or double or nothing for that EVP thing again. I'd actually like if Swerve got that a bit in this heel character and really used it to just to abuse his power and be a real thug about things and really do all that sort of stuff. So I could still see that happening.
Then have someone take it off him.
Yeah. Like I said, the crowd was hot for it again. The AEW crowds have been hot lately. There's a real contrast to Raw and SmackDown at the moment. where they're just hot all night for everything that happens. This is a really good Dynamite. They really use this 2 hours well. We'll see if it translates into the ratings, because they had a big ratings boost last week after the pay-per-view. So hopefully that stayed for them and didn't drop too much. And I heard Collision's 2-night specials with the slam dunk stuff did quite well for them as well. So they were really on the uptick, and you can really feel around the promotion there's a real buzz again, which is good because it's going to force WWE to really lift its game in WrestleMania season, which will really benefit all wrestling fans. Because if both companies are being competitive, we get better product, don't we?
Yeah. And what would you think?
I would give it 4.5 stars out of 5. I think they still have more in the bag, these two. It was about a 20-minute odd match, maybe 25 minutes. Only the one commercial, so that was deliberate. It was great how AEW does that thing where they do these big matches, because this really could have been the pay-per-view, the main event match, really, because of the two big names, but they love to hit you with a match straight up. It was a real formula that worked when Dynamite first started, and it's good to go back to that, especially when Raw and SmackDown start with promos all the time. It's a real contrast to what you get, and can be really gets the crowd going, which is good, because then that follows through for the rest of the show. I really think SmackDown this week could come out with the US Open, get a real good match with Kamala Hayes, get the crowd exciting, and I think they'd have the same effect. And then we move into the Randy Orton stuff, and the crowd will be hot. I think that'd be a better way to do it for SmackDown. What we got next on the cards?
We got Darby Allin hype video.
Yeah, this was a good one. Just showing Darby Allin's want for the world title, and the fact that he's going to start, trying to race up there, that he's left Gabe Kid behind and all that sort of stuff, and just showed, he's insane on what he's willing to do. Following that,
then we have the Will Ospreay calling out.
Yeah, so we had a Will Ospreay promo. He first originally calls out Pac, just sort of retaliates to what was said over the slam dunk collision stuff, where Moxley was sort of hinting that they put him in timeout, and then he was great. Will Ospreay said he was grateful for time with his son, but the fear in the eyes of his family and stuff at Allin, getting his neck snapped and all that sort of stuff was he needs to go for Moxley because of that. So challenges Pac for the next Dynamite, obviously, because they've been going at it in the crowds while Mox runs off, or on the entranceway and all that sort of stuff. And then challenges Moxley for Dynasty. Good promo, passionate. Will Ospreay's definitely gotten a lot better in these sort of segments. When he first got to AEW, he was a bit clunky, and I don't know if I really felt you could believe him. He's the best, one of the best in the world in the ring. Definitely a generational talent in the ring. The only thing that's ever been a little bit lower has been his promo work, and he's developed that over the last year and a bit. Year and a bit as he's been in the ring, obviously.
He's been practicing while he was getting his neck done.
Well, hopefully. These guys are professionals. They practice. They get people to help, all sorts of stuff. So I think he got shown up a little bit when he had the MJF program, and I think he's learnt from that, and he's gone up another level, and I could see him, world title picture, promo types of level stuff. So that would be great. What did we have following that, mate?
And we had we have the mixed trios match.
Yep. So we had Scorpio Flight, or Sky Flight, or whatever they're calling themselves. Yeah. So Top Flight was Scorpio Sky and Zindaya Steel.
No, it's Scorpio Sky.
Yeah, but he wasn't in the match, but that's why they call themselves Sky Flight, because he's part of the crew. And then they have Christopher Daniels with him as well.
I thought they'd call him Top Fly and Scorpio Fly.
Yeah, maybe. I might be getting that wrong. And then we had Zandana Steel, who's become a part of that little faction. They took on the Death Riders, which was Danny Garcia, Moxley, and Maria Shafir. Both teams got good offense. I didn't expect Top Flight and Zandaya Steel to get as much, and she looked good. She didn't look out of place. She got plenty of offense against Maria Shafir. which was good because she was graceful because she's just been in programs close to the world championship and the tag titles and stuff like that. So for her to give the grace to someone new on the roster, get her make her look good. She did a couple of diving moves and stuff like that. Well, that was great. Crowd got behind the match. I think they were in hometown.
Yeah,
Top Flight. That was their local town, or less home state. So the crowd was really receptive to them. They got Moxley and they got the win. You expected that to happen, and then Moxley got on the mic and pretty much accepted what Will Ospreay's challenge and gave him an omen to stop. Sort of writing checks his mouth couldn't cash type thing. So that I could see maybe this. I don't know. I still feel Will gets built up for world title at All In, but this program could go a while. And could have some pretty brutal. I don't see Dynasty being a one and done. I could see something at Double or Nothing, or leading it. Maybe even All In if they don't want to go Will Ospreay, because Will Ospreay versus Moxley is still big for All In, if you ask me. What do we have following that, buddy?
First, how would you rate the match?
Oh, sorry. I give this one 3 stars. Great television match. Everyone worked hard. The young guys got their spots in. Danny Garcia looked great as well. I'm not sure what they're really doing with him. This is a long-term story, obviously. At some point, he's going to have some sort of run-in with John Moxley again, and hopefully come out of it as a bigger baby face and finally get that real crowd push and stuff like that they've tried several times and haven't really gotten. So so 3 stars. Good TV match. I wouldn't say any more than that. Yeah.
Then after there was next was the Young Bucks hype video.
Yeah. So Young Bucks just talking about how they're not going to give up on the titles, and then when you lose, you get back up on the horse. They talked about their win with Jack Perry in the trios match at the previous Dynamite, and said that they will be back in the title picture and they'll do what they have to. Sort of showed the Young Bucks are back on. It's great to see them as baby faces. And just anytime they're on TV, they're the best match. They are incredible. Their match with FTR was incredible. I see them in some sort of multi-tag match at All In, whether it's FTR still as champs or as Cope and Christian Cage as the champions by then. I don't see it as a triple. You're going to have one more team in there. I don't know who that team is, but I'm sure we will get that in the following weeks. That'll come. So yeah. What was next on the cards, buddy?
Next was Texas Death Match
recap. Yeah, not much there. Just the recap of the match, and sort of alluding to what's next for Hangman, and showing that MJF was kind of proud of his achievement, and that he can win any sort of match. He's the best in the world. What happened after that? It was straight into the MJF promo, wasn't it?
No, it was Speedball verse. Wait, before the Texas Death Match, Speedball Mike Bailey versus Rocky Rivera.
Rocky Rivera, yeah. I'd give this one 2 stars. This was a squash match for Speedball. Rocky Rivera was just a sort of a cocky heel. Got a little bit of offense in, but Speedball wins for him, really. This was just him getting a win over a Don Callis guy, because I think it's him and Fletcher, either at Dynasty or Double or Nothing. I think Ciampa gets All In TNT. I think it's a multi-man match, maybe 4 people, maybe Speedball's in that one as well. I don't think Kyle Fletcher has a one-on-one match for the TNT. I think they do something similar to last year, where it's a few guys. That way, if Fletcher does drop it, he might not take the pin, and whoever gets it can get the pin on someone a little bit more.
Who would be the second? Who would be the last man?
Well, you could throw anyone there. You could throw Darby Allin in there. Who knows? There's plenty of people. You could have Kevin Knight as well. You could have Speedball, Kevin Knight. You could even throw Mystico in there just for the name value. You could have 6 or 7 of them in there. You know what I mean? With a little match or something. Yeah. So the TNT. There's plenty there for the TNT title going into All In. You always got a few pay-per-views to go, but I still see Fletcher having it by then, and some baby faces taking him on. Right. What was after that? That was the. Now we have the MJF promo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good promo.
Yeah.
MJF's great on the mic. We all know that. I personally think he's the best in the world on the microphone now. I think he surpassed CM Punk. CM Punk's obviously very, very good on the mic too. You could put guys like Randy up there, John Cena when he was around just before he retired. Gunther could even go up there at the moment within his character. He's incredible too at riling up a crowd. So there's a few guys that are really good on the mic. MJF is leagues above anybody else in AEW, of course. Apart from Pope could probably do some good stuff with him. If they wanted to throw Cope in for a one-off pay-per-view match against him as well, or even Christian Cage. Christian Cage is great too. They've obviously had a bit of time out, and they're doing doing their own thing at the moment. But both of them, I could really go with both of them having a one-off pay-per-view matches against MJF. I don't see him winning titles, but I'd love to see those matches. Even like a Winter's Coming or a Grand Slam in Mexico or something like that. There's so many options there. Kenny Omega comes out. He takes he talks about how they're going to beat a dynasty and all that sort of stuff, and alludes to he used to get called the god of wrestling, professional wrestling. MJF calls himself the devil, so there's only one person more powerful than the devil, and that's God. So that was a bit on the nose. I don't know if I like that. Being a Christian man, I didn't really like the illusion of all that sort of stuff. But I see where they're going. It works for the promo, and you don't need much to build this pay per view match. This is already incredible. But Dynasty is going to be great. What was next, big guy?
And then it was a Cup and Christian backstage.
Yeah, so they pretty much just told FTR they were coming from them. Christian Cage one was good. He did the asshole thing again. Alluded to Beth Phoenix being dropped on her head and all that sort of stuff, and then said, well, and even worse than that is that you dropped me on my head. And Cope was kind of standing there like, come on. It should be worse that they did it to a woman, but he obviously rated himself above Cope's wife, and he goes, oh, he's such an asshole. So he hasn't changed his character one little bit for this thing, and it works. They bounce off each other. They got a common enemy type thing. I could still see them turning on each other at some point as well, and having another one of those, sort of matches, because there's just so much. You could have some incredible matches. What was next, mate?
And then it was FTR promo.
Yeah, FTR sort of just, same thing again. Just alluded to that. They were going to end Pope. They didn't really care about them. It's their time now. They're just hanging around trying to take their glory. It's time for them to go. And then that led into Orange Cassidy and Roddy Strong coming out, and that actually led to a push and shove with FTR, didn't it?
Yeah.
Which was cool, because they're a tag team at the moment, and that they have the tag team title, so that's great to keep some other teams thereabouts and some tension going on there. Maybe they're the fourth team in it. Maybe the Dogs. Who knows? There's because this is who they versed, the Dogs.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them about that match?
It was Dogs versus Cassidy and Strong. It was a very good match.
Yeah.
But the Dogs win.
Yeah, solid match. The Dogs came away with the win, which is good. They needed that because they lost the Prio match. Because Gabe Kidd lost the Darby Allin, so you got to keep this faction strong. They needed to go over here, and they did. So that was good for the team and stuff like that. The War Dogs go on and keep marching on. I could put if they're going to have a multi-tag team match at All In, I'd have them in there as well, because some of the move sets they do is just they just run through people. They're quite violent. They looks quite violent. Obviously, they're safe in their work and stuff like that, but they're hard hitting, and they've got that mentality. They work the crowd. They just slip straight into this roster very well. And I rate this one as a 3-star. It was a great TV match. Orange Cassidy obviously elicits a great response from crowds all the time. His character still works even 6 years on. So it was all right combinations. You had these two real feral, hard hitting, slobber knocker, bar brawling type guys. Roddy Strong is the epitome of athleticism, just suplexing and spinning and carrying on, and just athletic wise, his age is incredible. And then Orange Cassidy was a little bit of comedy and the comeback kid and the underdog. So it had a bit of everything. So these two the chemistry between these two teams is great. I'd watch another match with them with a little bit of extra time, or maybe even a stipulation. What was next, buddy?
Then it was Divine Dominance backstage segment.
Yeah, not much there, eh? They're just, they're going to dominate.
They're just hyping it up for the match on Collision.
Yeah, they got a rematch against the Babes of Wrath. I see them going over on that one again.
Yeah.
And then moving on to the next bunch of probably the Brawling Birds, will be their next opponents there. So this will just get the Babes of Wrath out of the way, so we can have Willow focusing on the TBS. That'll be great, and move on from there.
And then Carl Fletcher backstage segment.
Yeah, they're showing little cracks in the Don Callis family, aren't they? Because his promo was about how he was the best TNT champion and that he was going to go after the World Championship and he doesn't want to work with MJF, similar to what Andrade was saying. So you got two of the top guys in that one, both saying they don't want anything to do with MJF, while Don Callis is trying to make money off MJF. And then Takeshita comes in. They shake hands, Proto Sheeta. Tries to say that, hey, no hard feelings for Proto Okada. I know you two aren't getting along, but blah, blah, blah. Yeah, sort of a hug it out type moment. So just fixing any tension between the two of them. I see Takeshita becoming babyface long before Kyle Fletcher, but we'll see where this leads. Maybe these two feud over the TNT at All In. Maybe that's what they're, Okada gets between them and causes a real rift, and then we get Takeshita as a babyface finally. What was next, buddy?
Then it was Mina versus.
The match go.
If I was ready now, I'd probably give it a 3.
Yeah. I wouldn't disagree with that one. Good television world title match for these two girls. They've got there's a lot of praise going on Tekla at the moment. Mina's great. These two worked off each other. They worked that real strong style Japan stuff. So they fed off each other. They knew each other. I don't know if they've wrestled before. They might have on the Japanese circuit because it was just so fluid, lots of chemistry there. Tekla got the win with brass knuckles. So it was a little bit of a, she continues to win a little bit underhandedly and stuff like that. So, I don't know who she moves on to as the next title challenger. So we'll have to see who's next for the pay-per-view. But, good television world title match for these two ladies. What was next, mate?
Kenny Omega interview?
Yeah, Kenny again. So 3 times in the night for Kenny.
There was a load of backstage filler.
Yeah, there was. We still got so many matches though.
Yeah.
So it worked, but yeah, definitely more backstage stuff than you usually get in a Dynamite, even though they packed it full of matches. So I don't know how they fitted it in. They fitted it all in for 2 hours, but it worked because we didn't realize there was so much back filler until we looked at the sheet that we've written down for the review. So that was pretty good. So Kenny Omega just again alluding to the MJF match and that he's feeling 100% or close to 100%, and this time around he's going to take the title off MJF. And what was after that, mate?
Speedball handshake came in and said, I want to be the first contender.
Yeah, so Speedball came in, alluding that, hey, once Kenny wins it, I want to be the first to take you on. I'm not here to talk nothing bad. I'm just here to show respect and ask you man to man for the next title shot after you win it.
And there's a funny bit when they shake hands, and then Kenny Omega said, "You can let go, mate." And then Speedball says, "I don't want to."
Yeah, so you don't know if it was fanboying or if it was just a laugh type thing, but it was a funny little thing to cut the scene onto. And what was after that, mate?
Then it was a Demand backstage.
Yeah, the Demand. There's been some issues with them since Ricochet dropped the national title, but they said they're all on the same page again now, and they're going to take out anybody that gets in their way. And that it was unfair that he had to defend his title in a 21-man battle royale because he never got pinned and never got submitted. So he should still be the champ, and he was going for Jack Perry. So look for another match between those two to come.
Okay, and then the main event.
Yeah, Darby Allin versus Roosh. How did this go?
See.
Yeah, I thought Roosh had killed him. The way he was throwing him around.
Me too.
Some of the spots on the outside. They actually had the medicos check on him at one stage because it looked like he was hurt. The way his legs whipped into the barricade and stuff like that when he was thrown and slammed and all that. Roosh, to me, is money. If he can get himself right, healthy and visa-wise, I would love to see him do a maybe international title or even world title run. I like Roosh. I like how he just hits people. He doesn't care. Crowd loves him too because he's got that energy about him. He's you feel like if you met him in real life, he'd legitimately be a tough SOB, and I don't mind that. So I think he's money. I think you could if you can get a good run out of him and put him near that title, even if you just give him one-off pay-per-view matches against. It's hard when MJF's the champ, but if you get babyface Will Ospreay after All In, we'll put Roosh in as the first contender and just let Roosh just wail on him and stuff like that, and Will Ospreay sort of work his way from the bottom to underdog champ type thing, and they can both flippy dippy and stuff like that. It'd be great. And I would have rated that. I rate that on 4 stars. That was a great main event for Dynamite. Darby, it was great to see Darby Allin properly wrestle again. He got a bit of blood, and he's all scarred up from the tougher match, so he was opened up pretty quick.
And the plus that he had time off when Roosh was going to do the finisher, and then he slideshowed. He does a roll up pin, and you can see him taking it off.
Yeah.
And then it's 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. So get the roll up win. So Roosh still looks strong because he's surprised that he got beaten. Darby Allin kind of survives it and moves on. I think they're alluding to Darby Allin being close to the world title picture too, because obviously MJF wanted Andrade to take him out. So we'll see where that leads to. Maybe we get Darby Allin and Andrade next pay-per-view or something sometime on Dynamite, which will be great to see as well. So how do you rate the match over the whole card overall?
6, 7.
Yeah.
So there's a thing after the match. The Don Callis family attacks Darby Allin.
Yeah, they do. Mike Davis does that crazy sort of half gut wrench pole driver type thing, and they're all standing there. And Andrade didn't like it. So there's the cracks there. So you Takeshita and Andrade, I don't think they stay in the Don Callis family long. So maybe even if Wardlow's healthy and comes back, those two leave and Wardlow takes a spot in there. So thank you very much, guys. God bless you all. That's another review done. We'll see you for SmackDown. What do you got to say, big boy?
Nothing.
Out of time, so say goodbye.